Welcome to our deep dive into Apache spirituality. We're going to be looking at excerpts from this book that dives deep into their beliefs and practices. You're going to find it fascinating.
Oh, yeah. I think the first thing that really struck me was how different Apache spirituality is from a lot of the approaches we find in like Western cultures where it's more individualistic.
Yeah, the book really emphasizes that it's about community. This idea that Apache spirituality isn't just about personal enlightenment, but it's about the well-being of the entire community.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like, imagine spirituality as this journey that you take, but with your entire community supporting each other every step of the way. And there's this great example in the book about even practices like sharing meals or mourning are done together, strengthening that like sense of interconnectedness.
It makes you think about how much, I guess, it's woven into everyday life, right? There's no separation between like the sacred and the everyday.
Right.
And speaking of interconnectedness, that brings us to their relationship with nature, right?
Oh, absolutely. The Apache, they see nature as this living entity, not just, something to be exploited. The mountains, to them, are not just rock and stone, but living beings
Mm.
imbued with ancient spirits and powerful energies.
It's like they understand that they're part of this balance and that their actions have consequences for the whole,
Exactly.
yeah, ecosystem.
And, the prime example is their relationship with the Gila River.
Mm.
It's not just a source of water to them. It's considered a spiritual artery, a life-giving force that nourishes the land and the people. And they honor it. They honor it with offerings and songs, recognizing its vital role in their lives. It's a beautiful example of how deeply they understand that concept of interconnectedness, I think.
Makes you think about how we often take our natural resources for granted.
Right.
And I love that they have these rituals of gratitude, like, creating altars with natural items or engaging in community cleanups. It's a powerful reminder to show respect.
And those rituals of gratitude aren't just about the environment either. They're also deeply embedded in the Apache warrior tradition.
Ooh, let's talk about those rituals of passage. The book really dives into how these ceremonies, they shape a young warrior's journey into adulthood.
Oh, these rituals, they're far more than just ceremonies. They're about instilling values, building resilience, and transmitting this vital knowledge from one generation to the next. They're really the backbone of Apache warrior culture.
I was so fascinated by the vision quest. Like, imagine being sent alone into the wilderness, tasked with facing not only the elements, but also your deepest fears and uncertainties.
Right.
It's a true test of character.
It really is. It's about connecting with your inner self, seeking guidance from the spirits, pushing you to the limits of your endurance, and forcing you to really confront your vulnerabilities. And it's this intense experience that ultimately reveals their true purpose and their path forward.
The book tells the story of Taxa, a young warrior undertaking this vision quest. And through his trials, he learns about the strength he can find within himself and the responsibility he carries as a guardian of his people and the land. His transformation is incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, Tax's story, it perfectly exemplifies how these rituals bridge the gap between the individual and the community. It is about personal transformation, yeah, but it's also about becoming a contributing member of the tribe, ready to serve and protect.
And speaking of connecting to something bigger than themselves, we have to talk about prayer and song in Apache culture. The book highlights how central these practices are to their spirituality. It's not just about asking for things, it's about maintaining this constant dialogue with the creator, their ancestors, and the natural world.
It's like an ongoing conversation, expressing gratitude, acknowledging the sacredness of life, and seeking guidance. Prayer in Apache culture is about recognizing that you're part of something much, much larger than yourself.
I love the example they gave of the communal prayer called the Blessing Way ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
It's so powerful.
It's a powerful practice. It's where the entire community comes together to pray for harmony, health, and well-being, for everyone. It's emphasizing unity and reminding everyone of their shared purpose.
And then there are the songs. These are living expressions of their worldview, woven into rituals, healing ceremonies, and even their everyday gatherings.
Yeah, they're powerful tools for passing down history and values through generations. A great example is the Night Chant. It's a ceremonial song that tells the story of their creation and emphasizes their deep connection to nature. It's almost like a living history book, sung and experienced rather than simply read.
It makes you think about how we preserve our own cultural heritage. Are we doing enough to keep our stories and traditions alive? Now, the book takes us deeper into warrior culture by exploring ceremonies that are specifically designed for Apache warriors.
Right.
It's fascinating how these ceremonies go beyond just physical preparation for battle. They really emphasize communal bonds and these values of courage, sacrifice, and respect.
hmm They highlight the warrior ethos, the code by which they live and fight.
There's the initiation into the warrior class, marking a young man's transition into manhood and his commitment to protecting his community.
Right. It's not just about, becoming a warrior. It's about embracing the values and responsibilities that come with that role.
And then there's the sun dance, which sounds incredibly intense, both physically and spiritually.
Oh, yeah. The sun dance is a grueling ritual of renewal, a test of endurance unlike any other. It pushes warriors to their absolute limits, forcing them to connect with their spiritual core and emerge stronger, both physically and mentally.
And of course, the war dance. It's almost like a form of meditation to get them in the right mindset for battle.
Yeah, the war dance is about channeling emotions, building solidarity, and facing their fears, together.
Yeah.
It's a powerful display of unity, strength, and courage, reinforcing that warrior ethos of honor and resilience.
It really highlights the psychological aspect of warfare, the importance of mental fortitude, and the power of collective energy. But the book doesn't just focus on these intense rituals, it also explores more subtle aspects of Apache spirituality, like the spiritual significance of symbols.
Oh, the Apache understanding of symbols is profound. They're not just images. They're conduits to deeper truths, reflections of their worldview and beliefs.
And you see these symbols everywhere, from tattoos and body art to ceremonial objects and even the natural landscape.
Yeah, the book uses the 4 directions, north, south, east, and west, as a great example. Each direction holds specific meanings tied to the elements, colors, and seasons, offering a framework for understanding their place in the world.
Like a map, not just for navigating the physical world, but for navigating their spiritual journey.
Exactly, yeah. And then there's another powerful symbol, the medicine wheel. It's a visual representation of their holistic worldview.
It embodies that understanding of interconnectedness and the importance of balance.
Precisely. It's about understanding the cycles of life, the interconnectedness of all beings, and the importance of finding harmony within yourself and with the world around you. A powerful reminder that everything is connected.
I love that the book doesn't just talk about these symbols in a general sense. It uses personal stories to illustrate their impact.
Oh yeah, like the story of Kaplan, a warrior who gets a phoenix tattoo.
Oh, his story is so powerful. The phoenix represents his journey of overcoming challenges and finding strength in the face of adversity.
Right. His tattoo becomes a tangible symbol of his resilience.
And it inspires him to explore the power of symbols within his community. He realizes that symbols can have this profound impact, not just on individuals, but on the collective as well.
It's a beautiful example of how personal symbols can resonate and even inspire an entire community. And, speaking of connection and impact, we can't forget the profound respect the Apache people have for their ancestors and the spirit world. That's where their sense of history and continuity really comes into play.
It's not just about remembering the past, it's about recognizing the ongoing influence of those who came before. The ancestors are seen as guides, protectors, and sources of wisdom, always present in their lives.
Mm. And this reverence for ancestors is woven into their daily lives, influencing everything from how they make decisions to how they interact with the land.
The book describes the sunrise ceremony, a powerful rite of passage into adulthood. And it incorporates the teachings and wisdom of the ancestors, reminding participants of their heritage and their responsibility to carry on those traditions.
Right, emphasizing the continuity of life, the interconnectedness of generations, and the importance of carrying that ancestral wisdom forward.
And then there's the story of Elena, a young artist who seeks guidance from her ancestors through her art. She finds strength and inspiration through a connection with her great-grandmother.
Elena's story beautifully illustrates how connecting with ancestors can be a source of strength and inspiration.
And that connection leads her to create this moving art exhibition that celebrates that ancestral connection and brings it to life for others.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that we're all part of this larger story, connected to those who came before us.
And that interconnectedness ties in beautifully with the Apache concept of balance, which is another key theme in the book. It's not just about finding equilibrium. It's a fundamental principle that governs how they view the world and their place within it.
It's fascinating how they view life cycles. They see life and death not as opposites, but as part of this larger continuum, honoring all phases of existence. and understanding that death is not an ending but a transformation.
Right. And their death ceremonies are a great example of this.
Mhm.
They're not just about mourning the loss. They're about celebrating the life of the deceased, sharing stories, and reflecting on the lessons learned. It's about acknowledging that the essence of a person continues even after physical death.
It's such a different perspective than what we see in Western cultures.
Right.
It seems to offer more peace and acceptance.
Mm-hmm. It's about finding beauty and meaning in the cycle of life and death, recognizing that it's all part of a greater whole.
The book goes back to Kaplan, this time focusing on how he learns to balance his ambition as a warrior with his responsibilities to his community.
Mm.
And it's a great example of how this concept of balance plays out in their daily lives.
Yeah, Kaplan's journey highlights how balance isn't just about finding a middle ground. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. He learns that his strength as a warrior is amplified by the strength of his community, and that true leadership involves putting their well-being at the forefront, finding that sweet spot where individual aspirations align with the needs of the collective.
It's a powerful message about the importance of finding balance, not just for personal well-being, but for the well-being of the entire community.
Exactly, yeah. It's about understanding that true strength lies not in individual glory, but in unity and support.
But maintaining these traditions, this sense of balance and connection, must be incredibly difficult in the face of modern challenges.
Oh, absolutely. This is where we need to understand the challenges Apache spirituality faces today. The book talks about cultural assimilation, loss of language, and threats to their sacred sites. These are very real and pressing issues that threaten the very fabric of their spiritual practices.
It's heartbreaking to think about what's at stake,
Right.
the potential loss of such a rich and vibrant culture.
It is. It's a sobering reminder of the importance of cultural preservation and the need to protect indigenous traditions.
But the book doesn't just dwell on the challenges, though. It highlights how the Apache people are actively working to preserve their traditions. They're not giving up. They're finding ways to adapt and thrive in the modern world.
hmm And that's what's so inspiring about their story. They're facing these challenges head on, using education, advocacy, and even technology to keep their culture alive.
The book talks about the development of Apache language programs,
Yeah.
which are vital for transmitting cultural knowledge and beliefs to younger generations.
Language is the key to understanding their worldview. Without it, so much of their cultural richness would be lost.
It's a way to ensure that their traditions and beliefs are passed down, creating a living bridge between the past and the future.
hmm
It's about ensuring the survival of their cultural heritage.
And they're not just relying on traditional methods, they're embracing technology.
I love the story of Tax, a young man who bridges his Apache heritage in the modern world by creating this digital storytelling initiative.
Oh, yeah.
It's brilliant.
Tax's story is a reminder that preserving culture isn't about clinging to the past. It's about finding ways to make it relevant and meaningful for the present and the future.
It's about adaptation and evolution while honoring those core values that make Apache culture so unique and resilient.
Right. It's about using the tools of the modern world to ensure that their traditions continue to thrive.
And that leads us to our final point for this part of the deep dive: the enduring legacy of the Apache Warrior Spirit. The book argues that this spirit is not just about fighting battles, it's a way of life, a set of values that are relevant in today's world, offering valuable lessons for all of us.
What's fascinating about the Apache warrior spirit is that it goes beyond, physical strength and courage. It encompasses resilience, a deep connection to nature, a commitment to community, and an unwavering determination to overcome adversity.
It's about facing challenges head-on with courage, dignity, and a deep sense of purpose.
Exactly, yeah. It's about finding that inner strength to persevere even when things get tough.
The book highlights the story of Kira, a young Apache woman who embodies this warrior spirit in her own unique way.
Oh, yeah. Kira's story beautifully illustrates how the warrior spirit can be a catalyst for positive change, not just within the Apache community, but in the wider world as well.
She organizes this solstice gathering that blends traditional elements with modern ones, inspiring her peers to appreciate their heritage and reconnect with their cultural roots.
Yeah, it's a beautiful example of how the Apache warrior spirit isn't just about preserving the past. It's about using that strength and resilience to build a better future.
It's about taking those core values of courage, resilience, and connection and making them relevant for the next generation.
Right, it's about ensuring that the Apache spirit continues to thrive. inspiring others to face their own challenges with determination and grace. We've seen how that Apache warrior spirit, how it adapts and thrives. But the book also introduces this fascinating concept called Soho. I think it really ties together everything we've been talking about. It's about beauty, harmony, and balance.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you're right. It seems like it's kind of woven through everything from their reverence for nature to their emphasis on community. But what does it actually mean to live by Soho?
Well, Soho isn't just some abstract ideal. It's a way of life.
Hmm.
It's about striving to find that delicate balance within yourself, within your community, and with the natural world. It's about recognizing that interconnectedness of all things and acting in a way that promotes harmony and well-being for all.
So it's not just about seeking like personal happiness or success. It's about considering the impact of your actions on that wider web of life.
Exactly, yeah. And the book has all these compelling stories that illustrate this concept. For example, it talks about how Apache farmers carefully plan their crops to ensure that the soil remains healthy for future generations. They're not just thinking about the immediate harvest, they're thinking about the long-term well-being of the land and the community.
It's like they see themselves as stewards of the earth, responsible for maintaining that balance for the benefit of all. That's a powerful perspective.
It is, yeah. And it's a perspective that's becoming increasingly relevant, I think, as we grapple with things like climate change and environmental degradation. Perhaps we can learn a lot from the Apache way of life and how they prioritize sustainability and interconnectedness.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder that we're not separate from the natural world. We are a part of it.
Right. And that brings us to another important aspect of Soho, this understanding that life isn't always easy. It's about finding beauty and harmony, even amidst hardship, even in the face of adversity.
So it's not about pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about finding that strength and resilience to navigate those challenges
Yeah.
while maintaining that sense of balance and perspective.
Exactly. And the book provides a really moving example of this in the story of Asha, a young Apache woman who experiences a profound personal tragedy.
Asha's story is heartbreaking. The book describes her journey of grief and healing after the loss of her husband. It would have been so easy to just succumb to despair, but she finds a way to integrate her grief into her life and rediscover that sense of Soho.
It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to find beauty and meaning even in the darkest of times. Asha's story teaches us that Soho isn't a destination. It's a journey, a process of continual growth and adaptation.
It's about accepting that life is full of both joy and sorrow and finding a way to embrace both, to find that balance even when things feel out of balance. It's a powerful reminder that we all have the capacity for resilience.
hmm And that resilience, the spirit of Soho, is what allows the Apache people to continue thriving in the face of so many challenges. It's what allows them to hold on to their traditions while adapting to a world that's constantly changing.
So, as we kind of delve deeper into Soho, I'm curious how it manifests in their warrior tradition. We've talked about courage and resilience, but how does Soho inform their approach to warfare?
That's a great question. Remember, the Apache warrior spirit isn't just about brute force or aggression. It's about fighting with honor, with purpose, and this deep understanding of the consequences of their actions.
So, it's not about seeking glory or conquest. It's about protecting their community, their land, and their way of life.
Exactly. The book even mentions that even in battle, Apache warriors would strive to minimize unnecessary bloodshed. They would often try to negotiate peace before resorting to violence. They understood that war was a last resort, not something to be taken lightly.
That speaks volumes about their respect for life, even the lives of their enemies. They weren't driven by hatred or vengeance. They were driven by a sense of duty and a desire to protect what was important to them.
And even after a battle, there were rituals of healing and reconciliation, recognizing that the cycle of violence had to be broken.
It's such a different perspective than what we see, in history, where wars are often fueled by anger and greed and this thirst for power. The Apache approach just seems so much more grounded in wisdom and a deep respect for the sanctity of life.
Right. It's about understanding that true strength lies not in domination, but in balance, in finding that harmonious coexistence, even amidst conflict. That's the essence of Soho.
That's a powerful message, especially in today's world where we're turreted with images of violence and conflict. Perhaps we can all learn something from that. From the Apache warriors' wisdom and their commitment to finding balance, even in the most challenging of circumstances.
Absolutely. And it's not just about warfare.
Yeah.
That same principle of Soho can be applied to all aspects of life, from our personal relationships to our interactions with the natural world.
So how can we cultivate that sense of Soho in our own lives? What are some practical steps we can take to find that balance and harmony?
Well, the book offers some valuable insights on that front. It emphasizes the importance of mindfulness, being present in the moment and paying attention to the impact of our thoughts, words, and actions. It's about cultivating a sense of gratitude for the blessings in our lives and recognizing the interconnectedness of all things.
So it's about slowing down, taking a step back from the busyness of life, and really connecting with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us. It sounds simple, but I imagine in practice it's quite challenging.
It is, but the rewards are immense. When we live in alignment with Soho, we experience this sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment that goes far beyond these fleeting moments of happiness.
And isn't that what we're all ultimately searching for? That sense of deep connection and meaning in our lives?
I believe so. The Apache concept of Soho offers a powerful framework for achieving that.
And the beauty of it is that it's not something that requires grand gestures or dramatic life changes. It's about making these small, conscious choices each day to live in a way that promotes harmony and balance.
Exactly, yeah. It's about bringing that awareness to our everyday interactions, from how we treat our loved ones to how we interact with the environment.
And over time, those small choices can have a ripple effect, creating a more harmonious and balanced world for ourselves and for future generations.
That's the power of Soho.
Yeah.
It's not just a philosophy, it's a way of life that has the potential to transform not only ourselves, but the world around us.
So as we move towards the final part of our deep dive into Apache spirituality, I want to invite you to consider how this concept of Soho resonates with you.
Mm.
What does beauty, harmony, and balance mean to you?
What does it mean to you?
And how can you cultivate those qualities in your own life? It's inspiring to think about how Soho can be such a strong guiding principle, even in the face of adversity. Thinking back to Asha's story, it's incredible how she found that balance, especially after experiencing such a devastating loss.
Yeah. Asha's story, it really highlights the resilience of the human spirit and the power of Soho to guide us through those difficult times. The book talks about how she found solace in her connection to nature, in the support of her community, and in the wisdom of her ancestors.
It seemed like those connections really helped her find meaning and purpose, even in the midst of her grief.
Exactly, and that's one of the beautiful things about Soho. It's not about denying or suppressing those difficult emotions. It's about acknowledging them, honoring them, and finding a way to integrate them into our lives in a way that allows us to move forward.
So it's about finding that equilibrium, that sense of wholeness, even when life throws us curveballs.
Precisely. Soho is a dynamic process,
Yeah.
this continual striving for balance and harmony amidst the ever-changing circumstances of life.
That makes me think about the challenges the Apache people have faced and continue to face in the modern world. How does Soho help them navigate those challenges?
Well, remember how we talked about the importance of adaptation? Soho isn't about clinging rigidly to the past. It's about honoring the traditions while finding ways to make them relevant in the present.
So it's about evolving, finding new ways to express those core values in a world that's constantly changing.
Exactly, and the book gives some great examples of how the Apache are doing just that. We talked about the language programs and the use of technology to preserve their stories, but there are also these efforts to revitalize traditional practices like farming and weaving, adapting them to meet the needs of the modern world while still honoring the ancestral wisdom.
It's incredible to see how they're finding ways to keep their culture alive and thriving.
And it's a testament to the power of Soho to guide them through these transitions, to help them find that balance between tradition and modernity.
It's a reminder that culture isn't static. It's this living, breathing entity that evolves and adapts over time.
And that evolution is essential for survival. Without the ability to adapt, cultures can become stagnant and ultimately disappear.
But the Apache people are showing us that it's possible to maintain that strong sense of cultural identity while embracing change. It's about finding that sweet spot where tradition and innovation coexist.
And Soho provides the framework for doing just that. It's about finding that harmonious balance between honoring the past and shaping the future.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Apache spirituality, I'm left with this profound sense of admiration for their resilience, their wisdom, and their unwavering commitment to Soho.
Their story offers valuable lessons for all of us, I think, regardless of our background or beliefs. It's a reminder to approach life with that sense of balance, to seek harmony in our relationships with ourselves, with others, and with the natural world.
It's a reminder to embrace change while honoring our roots, to find beauty in the everyday, and to cultivate that sense of interconnectedness that binds us all together.
And above all, it's a reminder to never give up on the pursuit of Soho. That delicate balance that brings meaning and purpose to our lives.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the heart of Apache spirituality. We hope it's inspired you to seek out those moments of Soho in your own life. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep striving for that beautiful balance that brings harmony to ourselves and to the world around us.